the 10 freshmen who will make the biggest impact in the Big Ten at the end of the year. I'm super excited about this list. Been working on this for a little while now, and the games on Saturday kind of help solidify some of this. So really excited to present this list to you. Would love to know your thoughts as well. Please do like and subscribe. Get in the comments section. Let me know what you think. If you got any Big Ten friends out there, friends who are fans of a team of the Big Ten, please do share the channel with them. Please do share this video with them if they're a basketball fan. We're talking Big Ten basketball all the time on this channel. We got power rankings on Monday. We got game recaps, all different kinds of stuff. If you have a Big Ten basketball friend, Big Ten, a friend of who's a fan of Big Ten basketball, I don't know, I couldn't say that. Please do share this with them and let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. So I wanted to make a list that wasn't like best freshmen in the Big Ten, because if we do that, then it's like Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Kasparis Jaconis, like yada yada yada. Like you guys kind of go down the line, and everybody kind of knows who that is. So what I did instead is I said these are the 10 freshmen, top 10 freshmen who will make the biggest impact in the Big Ten at the end of the year. Who's going to affect the Big Ten race? Who's going to affect things in the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, like all that kind of stuff. I'm super excited to talk about it with you. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I am also going to be putting their stats, like the freshman stats, here next to me, and then that way you can kind of enjoy looking at those while I talk about them. Let me there we go. Got the stats next to me. Okay, so like I said, this is not going to be Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper at the top of the list, number 1 and 2, because this is not a list of who are the best freshmen. This is what freshmen are going to make the biggest impact. So my number 10 is Zoom Diallo of Washington. And you might be saying, well, JR, he's not going to make an impact. He's playing for Washington. All right, I get that. But he does have the 4th highest usage rate among freshmen. He's top 10 in Big Ten assist rate. That's all together, not just in the Big Ten. And he could impact the top 9 seeding with games against Ohio State, USC, Wisconsin, and Oregon remaining. Obviously, Wisconsin not going to get knocked out of the top 9, but whether or not Wisconsin is a part of the top 4 is a big deal, as if you want to win the Big Ten tournament, you pretty much have to be in that top 9. And Zoom Diallo has become a huge piece for this Washington team to make an impact and to upset some of the teams in the Big Ten. You got a couple of teams who are going to play at Washington, who are, like I said, top 9 teams or on the verge of being top 9 teams right now. If they do manage to lose at Washington, this could be a huge deal in the top 9 seed. And for teams like Ohio State and USC and Oregon to a certain extent, this could be a huge deal for the NCAA tournament bid as well. If you lose to a team like Washington, let's say Zoom Diallo goes off for 30 points against USC, like that's going to be a huge deal. So Zoom Diallo, Washington, is my number 10 guy. Number 9, Wesley Yates III of USC. Wesley Yates III of USC is a huge contributor for them, especially lately. Right now, they are 5-2 in Big Ten play when his plus minus is positive. When his plus minus is negative, they are 0-8 altogether in all of college basketball, not just Big Ten play. They are 0-8 in college basketball when he is negative. So this is a type of guy that needs to be playing well, not just for himself, but his team, getting other guys involved if this USC team wants to make a difference and win. Now, he did score a good amount of points against Purdue. I think he had 30 points in that game, but he needs to be somebody that isn't just contributing in the points column, but also contributing on defense, contributing, getting his other players involved. It's a huge aspect for them. His usage rate has increased by 2.6% in the past 5 games. Like, I don't know if people understand how crazy that is. Wesley Yates III is getting more and more involved in this USC offense, and for him to grow 2.6% on the year in the past 5 games, that's incredible. So excellent efficiency shooting. He doesn't turn the ball over so much. Like these are the kind of numbers that you need from somebody to come in and start making a difference on your team. If Eric Musselman and these guys want to make the Big Ten tournament top 9 seeds and then try to make the NCAA tournament as well, which seems a bit more far-fetched, but it could possibly happen, Wesley Yates III is going to be a huge piece of that. All right. Number 8, and this is the number 1 team in the Big Ten, so it might seem weird that I have them at number 8, in fact, below the Rutgers guys, but hear me out, okay? Jakari Harris, number 8, Purdue. Purdue isn't a huge, like, Purdue, no, isn't. Purdue is obviously a huge factor in the Big Ten race as it nears its end, and they're getting major contributions, and they are not getting major contributions from their freshmen right now, at least statistically. But when Harris, Cox, Heidi, or Colvin, a couple of those guys aren't freshmen, but I'm just pointing them out, when they step up, Purdue is a significantly better team and has significantly better options. I think Cox gets a lot of the love from the fan base and some of the national media, but to me, Harris is the guy that I see getting other guys involved more. He's very fundamentally sound. He has an ability to get to the rim that I don't think the other guys have, like just on his own. I think that he brings a lot to this team. And if you find yourself in a situation where Braden Smith gets 2 fouls, let's say in the first 5 minutes or something like that, I trust that Jakari Harris can be the one to step up, be that ball handler, be that guy with the ball control who is going to be able to still get the other guys involved. Is he going to be Braden Smith? No. Braden Smith's the best point guard in the country. It's not going to happen. But can he step up for a half? Can he step up for, a few minutes in the game? Can Matt Painter trust him to do that? I think you're seeing over the past few games he's doing that more and more. The stats might not be anything crazy to write home about, but the rates, his ability, and just when I see him out there on the floor, you can tell when Jakari Harris is on the floor versus a Miles Coleman, a Cam Heidi, not so much Cam Heidi. They don't really play the same position, a CJ Cox, guys like that. Like you can tell when he's on the floor versus some of these other guys. I think Jakari Harris is going to be huge for this team, especially if they want to go beyond the Big Ten in the NCAA tournament and make a run in the Big Ten tournament as well. Number 7, this guy's number 7 because I got 3 different guys from this team because this team is laden with freshman talent right now. But number 7 for me is Morez Johnson. He recently was inserted into the starting lineup. I think his first game doing that was against Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. And he's playing with a Vicic who this combination works really well. Like we've seen Indiana where Malik Renew and Umar Ballo do not work well together. Brad Underwood has done a really good job of giving Morez Johnson and Tomislav Vicic their roles, and it's actually working really well together. Morez Johnson is down low much more often. He is allowing Tomislav Vicic to be more of the, kind of this mover around the perimeter. He can also go down low. He's a matchup nightmare. You have to put your bigger guy on Morez Johnson, so then you have a guy who's a little bit smaller, maybe still big, but maybe a little bit smaller against Tomislav Vicic, two of the only teams in the conference that can really counter what they do is Michigan with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, and Maryland with Derek Queen and Julian Reese. Everybody else is going to really struggle to go up against this combination of Morez Johnson and Vicic. So I really like what Brad Underwood is doing here. This is something that I was begging for most of the year, and then we finally got it against Ohio State, and I was like, crap, that's my team. You're going to do that against us. Didn't work super well to begin the game. 3-point struggle, stuff like that. But once they found their groove, once things started getting better and they went away from the 3-point shooting, I think like the last 7 minutes of that game, they didn't shoot a single 3-pointer. It was huge. So Morez Johnson, just him being in the starting lineup, playing the role of, being really efficient with his shooting, his dunking, getting on the offensive boards, crashing the glass, like that kind of stuff is really, really impactful for this Illinois team. And I think it's huge for them. Number 6, this is where Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey come in. I'm just going to combine them into one, okay? Maybe that's wrong of me, but I wanted to get more freshmen on this list. So I'm going to combine them into one. So really, top 11 best freshmen. I get it. Maybe it's not right. Anyway, who cares? It's my list. I can do what I want, okay? The 2 best freshmen in the conference by far. I don't think there's any other discussion. I think Paris Jaconis argued for that for a little while, but at the end of the day, he's kind of gone through his slump. Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper remain 2 of the most impactful because of their team and what they do. But the problem is Rutgers isn't really in the race anymore. They've kind of gotten out of the NCAA tournament altogether with some of those losses. Really, their only chances is if they go through and win the Big Ten tournament. Maybe if they make the championship game, they have enough wins there, but I don't think it's going to happen. So you're going to have Rutgers really needing a lot from this team. In addition to that, they do have a good chance of impacting the top four seeding as they do have games against Michigan and Purdue left. Now, I don't think if Purdue loses that one, anything's really going to change because I think Purdue is going to finish out the season strong. But we saw Michigan almost lose against Indiana, almost lose against Oregon. Like, this is a team that can give up leads and can possibly turn into somebody who loses. So I'm going to give Rutgers their credit and say they can still be a top 9 seed. If they go like 5-3 to end the season in the Big Ten, this is a team that still could be a top 9 seed. I think they'll need some help in order for that to happen, but they go 5-3, 10-10 in the Big Ten altogether. Like, this could still be a top 9 team in the Big Ten, give them a top 9 seed. And if they're able to take down like a Michigan or even a Purdue, if Purdue does start falling, I don't think they are, but if they do, that could impact things for the top 4 seeds as well. So not the biggest impact, but I did feel like it was big enough. I wanted to put them right outside of the top 5. Number 5 here, he is definitely not as good as those two guys, but he plays for a team that is a little bit more impactful in the Big Ten right now with what they are playing for and what they are trying to do. I'm going to go with John Junie Mobley Jr. from Ohio State. His spacing does so much for this Ohio State team, even though I think he only shot like 1 for 7 in their last game against who'd they play last? Against Maryland. But still, his spacing is such a threat that you have to have that for the front court of this Ohio State team right now. It's one of the reasons why Devin Royal, when he's able to get down low, is so effective, because you can't bring another guy down there on him, because Devin Royal will pass out of it, get it to Bruce Thornton, who gets it over to John Mobley, vice versa, whatever. Like, John Mobley is such a threat for this team on the perimeter with his shooting that teams have to honor that. His ability to space the floor, his ability to keep double teams off of the guys in the post is huge for them. I think it's one of the biggest factors of why this Ohio State team is able to do so much. His usage rate is growing as well as the season goes on, so Jake Diebler is starting to trust him more. Now, one of the biggest jumps for that was when Michi Johnson left the team. Still no idea when he's going to come back. I don't think he is going to come back at this point. It seems like it's been too long, and quite frankly, I think Ohio State's been playing better without him. I hate to say that because I don't want to disparage the kid, but it's just the truth. It is what it is. So they've been playing better without him, so I don't even know if Jake Diebler would take him back, or if he would take him back, he probably wouldn't even have him starting at this point, because John Mobley Jr., his usage rate is continuing to increase, continuing to get better, and he is among, I would say, the 4 Ohio State players that you need one of them to go off in order to win a game. Last game, we saw it was Bruce Thornton. Scored 31, I think it was, against Maryland, and was just lights out at the end of that game in order to win it for him. John Mobley Jr. had a really good game against Indiana. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. They lost by 1 in overtime, but he was a big reason why they were able to stay into that game. He had a good game against Illinois. Didn't work out for him, but he is one of the key 4 players, and those 4 players to me are Bruce Thornton, Micah Parrish, Devin Royal, and John Mobley Jr. Like, he is one of those guys that you need in order to have a good game to go off in points if some of the other guys aren't going off in order to win a game. All right, number 4, and another one from the Illinois team. I'm going to go with Will Riley here. I speculated on possibly having him first, but then as I thought about it more, I went ahead and put him at number 4. Now, I know it's Minnesota. I get that, okay? But he had a really doggone good game against Minnesota, and I think he adds another dimension of this team when he is so efficient handling the ball, not turning it over, and then also scoring the ball as well. He doesn't need to be the number 1 option for this team. You have Kasparis Chakonis, you have Tomislav Ivicic. Like, you don't want him to be the number 1 option for this team, in my mind. But if he is able to be the if he's able to be the 3rd option for this team, maybe some games the 2nd option for this team, like, that's huge. That's going to be huge for them in order to be able to do that. So I really like what he brings to the table. I really like what I saw against Minnesota. I like what I saw against Ohio State. Like, when he is playing at his best in his prime, he is one of those guys that just, adds another dimension to this team. I don't know how much more to say about it other than that. But Illinois is definitely going to make an impact right now. Illinois is at it. Illinois could sneak into a top 4 seed, I believe, with some luck. If they could go like 4-2 with wins over UCLA and Wisconsin, I think they have 7 games left remaining, but one of those against Duke, so that won't be a conference game. But 4-2 with wins over UCLA in Wisconsin, and you're praying for a Wisconsin drop off. That end of season schedule for them is not super tough, but if they can drop off somehow, you could find yourself possibly in the top 4. I'm thinking maybe even 5th for this Illinois team. We'll see what happens. UCLA is playing really good ball right now. Like I said, Wisconsin, it does not have a terribly tough schedule to end the year, but the opportunity is still at least there. All right, and then number 3, I have Jace Richardson of Michigan State. Now, I understand Jace Richardson, not even a starter for Michigan State. He did start this past game because Jeremy Fears Jr. was not able to start. I think he had a sickness or some kind of illness, so he should be back. Excuse me, he should be back relatively soon, but right now, he's arguably the 6th man in the country, and right now I put him as my 6th man in the country after in the midseason part of the awards that we gave out. Now I know there's some other guys who could be in contention there as well, but I just really like what Jace Richardson brings to this team. I think he adds to this Michigan State backcourt in ways that are really, really impressive. He does a lot in the time that he's given. He doesn't play the most minutes there. I mean, he does play a good amount of minutes. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't play the most minutes on the team. And so what he's able to do with the time that he is playing is really good. He broke their losing streak with 29 points against Oregon. Just had some really, really impressive plays. If you've been watching Big Ten Network at all, you've probably seen the play where he steps back, puts the guy on skates, gets to the basket, and then makes a pretty acrobatic layup in order to score there. It's just really impressive. He adds a lot to this team. Second right now in points per game. He's second in 3-point percentage, which is huge for this Michigan State team as they need somebody who can shoot threes. I think he's one of 2 that is shooting over 40% right now from 3, and then he's also a distributor as well, averaging 2 assists per game, 3rd in assists per game on his team. I just think he brings a lot to this team. He is probably going to be a first-round draft pick if he goes to the NFL draft. There's a lot of people saying that he's growing into that right now. If he does get inserted into the starting lineup, like I know a lot of Michigan State fans are kind of vying for, then you could possibly see that happen even sooner. But he's just a really nice piece for this team, and he does a lot of things well, and he does a lot of things that other guys just quite frankly aren't able to do. So Jace Richardson, number 3. Number 2, this team is fighting for a top 4 seed. I think they're going to need some luck to get it, but it could definitely happen. Maryland's Derek Queen, the only freshman who rivals the usage rates of Bailey and I don't know why it changed there, of Bailey and Harper. Now, Kasparis Jakunas does have a usage rate pretty high up there as well. Let me turn this over to the usage rates here. He does have a pretty high one as well, but for the most part, like it's Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and Derek Queen up there at the top. Zoom Diallo, very close in usage rate too, but yeah, I mean, just a huge usage rate for Derek Queen. He and Reese together have made it so only Northwestern was really the team that was able to beat this Maryland team that doesn't have an elite 4 or 5 on their team. Purdue beat them. Trey Kaufman is elite. Like a number of other teams, like Ohio State beat them. I don't know if Devin Royal is elite, but Devin Royal is still a pretty good big and what he was able to do. So maybe you could add Ohio State to that team that doesn't have an elite big. I would say Ohio State's struggle is more of their 5-man than rather their full front court with Devin Royal. But he is also only 6'6". He's the same size as Michael Parrish is. But still, Devin Ross does play the 5 for him at times when they go small. Anyway, Maryland, for him, like he does a lot for this team. His defense and athleticism is game-changing. His ability to get out on the fast break, to be able to block shots, but then also turn his back to the basket, post guy up, get physical with somebody. Like he just does so many different things well. Going into Big Ten play, he struggled a little bit. Excuse me. Struggled a little bit. He's really starting to come into his own now. And if he can be that piece to this Maryland team to help them, challenge other teams in their front court, he can be a huge part of giving this team a run to possibly be a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. And they're going to see some teams that if they get the right matchups in the NCAA tournament, you could see Maryland possibly being a Sweet 16 possibly being an Elite Eight team if they get the right matchups. So I like what they do with their guards. Not Mick Cronin. Kevin Willard really hates to play his bench. I get that, but for the most part, like, this is a good team, and this is Derek Queen, who has a high usage rate and do a lot of things for him. All right, and then my last one. Easy, you guessed it. Kasparis Jakonis for Illinois. Illinois is going to be a huge piece. I said they could sneak into the top four. They have games against UCLA and Wisconsin. While those games won't decide anything in themselves, if they do win both of those games, that's going to be huge to try and determine who is in the top four. And I think the teams that are in the top four, that double bye in the Big Ten tournament is going to be huge for them. And if Illinois wants to make, this is really the biggest deciding factor of why he's number one for me. If Illinois wants to make a run to the Sweet 16, to the Elite Eight, you have to have Kasparis Jakonis playing well. You have no other option, but he has to be playing well for you. Tomislav Ivicic can be playing great, but if Kasparis Jakonis is not doing well, you're not going to win. One loss when he is plus minus 2 or more. Okay. When he is plus 2 or more, they have one win. When he is plus 1 or less, they have one win. They have one loss when he is plus 2 or more. They have one win when he is plus 1 or less. That is incredible, and that just shows how much of a factor Kasparis Jakonis and his play on the court determines what happens with this Illinois team. Brad Underwood right now is leaning on him like no other. His usage rate might not be the highest at 24.2%. Will Riley actually has a higher usage rate right now in the season than him, but still, what he is able to do to affect the game with the ball, without the ball, teams with how much they're focusing on him, like, there's just so much that he is doing for this Illinois team right now that if he's not playing well, it's not going to go well for him. He has to be more effective in his field goal shooting. He has to be better three-point shooter, those kind of things. Like, he has to do those things, and he will. And if he does, this Illinois team has a ceiling that is very, very high. As Brad Underwood pointed out, if everybody's working together, everybody's there, and everybody's playing well, this is an Illinois team you could see in the Final Four. I'm not going to predict it, but it could happen. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but it could happen. Just like there are other Big Ten teams who could make it to the Final Four as well. But if we see the, kind of ceiling version of this Illinois team, I could see him possibly getting there. So let me know what you guys think. Your top 10 the same as me? Are you kind of like, no, I think Jakar Harris should be higher, or no, I think John Mobley Jr. should be lower? Like, give me you guys' thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. Like I said, it's not top 10 best freshmen. It's the 10 most impactful freshmen at the end of the year. We're talking about seeding in the Big Ten tournament, playing the Big Ten tournament, playing the NCAA tournament. Let me know you guys' thoughts. Please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really trying to get this basketball channel going. So share it with a friend, let somebody else know, and I really appreciate it. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good one.